Today's lesson is translation practice. Hello, everyone. I'm Mike.
And I'm Hanny.
And today we have some very interesting sentences that we're going to talk about and help you guys fully understand and also fully translate in the most accurate possible way. And, in the spirit of recent political events, we've had elections here in Taiwan in this year. So we're going to be looking at some things all about elections and about political power, which is, of course, something we all seem to enjoy talking about and also something you read about a lot in the newspaper. In fact, actually, around the world, I think 2024 is a big time for political change and elections. So it seems very fitting that the topic of a couple of our sentences, at least in the first part, are all about elections and giving power to citizens, to people in those countries to pick their political leaders.
好，我们这次翻译写作呢会有2个主题，一个是跟选举有关，一个是跟节庆有关。那我们第一个主题呢是跟选举有关，我们现在就来准备练习翻译前面这2个句子。好，那么第一个句子呢是选举赋予公民参与政治过程的权利，使他们能对国家治理拥有发言权。那这个句子它的主词是选举，动词是赋予。那因为是在陈述事实，所以时态用现在简单式。好，我们看到前后的子句，它的主词都是选举。我们后半句其实可以用到分词构句来表示，也就是呢要省略连接词还有后半句的主词，然后把那个后半句的动词就改成分词，所以你就会看到是前半句就是主词加动词，然后逗号后面你就是直接接一个现在分词 VING 的句型结构。那我们现在就来看重点咯。Okay, let's move on to our grammar points.
All right. Well, the first one we have, section A here, it's all about empower citizens to verb. And when you empower someone, it's basically to give power to someone or allow someone to do something. If you give someone permission, you're empowering them to do something. And of course, because of the law, we have rights, right? And those rights that we have under our laws and under our constitutions, those rights and laws empower people to do something. Now, of course, it might be power that is given to you. For example, if you pass a driving test, your driver's license empowers you to drive a car, to rent a car, things like that. It could also be something that comes to you at a certain age. If you turn 18 in Taiwan, that empowers you to buy alcohol or things like that. And of course, other things that aren't necessarily given to you by law, but basically by rights. A credit card would empower you to spend money you don't actually have. So sometimes when you are empowered with things, you need to be careful. The full phrase we have here is empower citizens to verb. So this is definitely more of the political angle. Yes, in a democracy, if you're over a certain age, that empowers citizens or empowers people in that country to vote. For example, you might have to register, you might have to go to a certain place and show your ID, but once you follow all the rules and regulations, you are empowered or given the power or the right to do something. In another more personal way, if you let someone do something, if you say, hey, sure, you can borrow my pen, you are, in a way, being empowered to use my property. We wouldn't really use it in a casual sense. This is more of a political type of thing or a legal type of term, but it certainly is the same idea. You're being given permission, you're being given the rights, or you're being given the power to do something, to perform an action, or to take some kind of liberty with something.
好，那我们来看第一个重点是要表达赋予公民什么什么的权利，我们就可以用到 empower citizens to do something 这样的结构。好，那看到动词 empower， 它的字首 em 是来自 en， 这个 en 它可以表达使啊、造成或是加诸、提供的意思，常常就会加在形容词或名词前面来构成动词。那么 en 碰到后面有 b 或者是 p 或者是 m， 它会同化成 em。所以呢 empower 这个字它的 em 就是来自 en， 表示提供， power 是力量，所以合在一起 empower 它就有授权啊，给予什么权利，赋予力量的意思。那用法会是 empower somebody to do something， 那也常常会用被动语态 be empowered to do something. 好，那我们接着要来看看 Point B， 看看怎么表达参与政治过程。
All right, point B is to participate in the political process. And this follows very closely along with empower citizens to what? To participate in the political process. Yes, again, here we're talking about politics, and most directly we're talking probably about elections. Because if you participate in the political process, you are taking part in something. To participate means to take part, to join in, to engage in, to do something that other people are doing. You won't really participate in something you alone are doing. It always involves a group of people, so it could be a small group activity. If you're sitting around a table with 3 friends playing cards, you are participating in a card game. If you're on a team, you're participating in a game, or even if you're in the audience, in the crowd, watching a sporting event, you could say you're participating in the event. You're cheering, you're clapping, you're shouting with joy or with anger if your team wins or loses. So as long as there's an activity there and you're actually part of it, engaged in it, even from a bit of a distance, not directly. Even, I guess, if you're watching the game on TV and you're texting about it or something, you're participating in it as well. But very directly in an election, when you go down to the polling station, that place that you vote, and you fill out your card, you fill out your ballot, you put it in the box, you are very directly participating in the political process. Everyone has the right to do that over a certain age. And then, of course, if you're more engaged, if you're running for office, if you're trying to get elected, if you're volunteering to help other people you believe in get elected, you are also more directly participating in the political process. You're taking part, you're engaging in it, you're part of the gang that is trying to do something.
好，那我们来看看下一个重点是参与政治过程。那政治过程很简单，我们就找字面翻译就是 political process。那我们现在要表达参与，可以用到 participate in， 或者是 take part in， 或是 engage in， 它们都可以表达参与。那么后面是接名词或动名词，所以呢，参与政治过程，我们就可以说 participate in the political process 就可以了。好，那我们接着来看下一个重点 Point C。
Point C, have a say in the governance of their country. And, well, that's basically what elections allow you to do. They allow people to have a say in the governance of their country. The governance is basically how things are run. Okay, so someone who's in charge of a business is in charge of the governance of that business. A manager would be in charge of the governance of that office. It's kind of a fancy term. It does have, of course, a lot of the same words or letters as government, which, of course, is how we run countries. But governance can also just be running something, managing something, controlling something, being in charge of something, making sure things work and things go on as they should. Having a say in the governance of your country, having a say in something is basically your rights or your opinions matter. All right, if you are a visitor to a country, you might be able to participate in the political process by going down to an election meeting or a rally or cheering or something, but you don't have a say in the governance if you don't have the right to vote. Anyone who has the right to vote has a say. They actually have an opinion, and their opinion matters. Their opinion must be listened to. And of course, if you're actually in the government, you have a very direct say in the governance of the country. You can vote on new laws, you can propose new rules and regulations, and things like that. So have a say in something is basically to have a right to your opinion being heard, and in the governance, how things are run or how things are managed in the country in this case.
好，那我们来看这个重点是对国家治理拥有发言权。那我们可以说 have a say in the governance of their country。那么 have a say in something 或者是 have some say in something 就是表达对什么发表意见，对什么拥有发言权，进而能影响某件事的发展。那如果是 have no say 或者是 have little say in something 则是表达对某事毫无智慧的余地。好，那我们现在在这个 in 后面接了 the governance of their country 是表达国家治理。我们应该都知道 government 这个字是政府，那动词是 govern G-O-V-E-R-N， 在这边是它的名词 governance 则是表达管理方法或是治理的意思。好，那我们现在看完相关的重点，可以请 Mike 老师帮我们翻译整个句子咯。
Elections empower citizens to participate in the political process, enabling them to have a say in the governance of their country.
好，那我们接着来看第二个要翻译的句子是透过投票，公民可以在影响国家未来发展的过程中发挥重要的作用，从而提升公民责任感。好，那么句子的主词是公民，动词是可以发挥。那因为是在陈述事实，所以时态用现在简单式。好，那我们现在就来看看今天的重点。
And here you can see we have a couple of different ways to say basically the same thing. You can say play. Of course, to play is kind of like to take part in something. A critical or crucial, we could say that, or an important role. If something's critical, if it's crucial, if it's important, it's all very similar. The big difference there, of course, is important. Starts with a vowel, so we have to say an important. And you can see either play a role or a part. Both of those are perfectly fine. We also would use that for acting. If you're an actor in a play, you have a role or you have a part in that play. If you're Hamlet or whatever in a play. And role or part in, and then we would have either a noun or a verb ing. Both of those are perfectly fine. Of course, the verb ing is the verb acting kind of as a noun. So if you have the right to play an important role or part in choosing your president or choosing your leaders or choosing your mayor.
好，那我们来看第一个重点是在什么什么发挥重要的作用。那我们用到 play a role 或者是 play a part， 字面意思是扮演角色，那它可以表达发挥作用。那你就可以在 role 或者是 part 前面加上形容词来修饰，可能可以加上 crucial 或者是 critical 或是 important 等等。那如果是母音开头，那就注意要改成 an。另外我们会在后面加上 in， 再加名词或动名词去表达在什么什么发挥作用。好，那现在呢，我们就来看看说要表达说在影响国家未来发展的过程中发挥重要的作用。那这个 in 后面是要接什么呢？那我们就来看看 point B。Point
B, in shaping the future of their nation, or we can also say in influencing the future development of their country. All right, so in shaping the future of the nation, if you shape something, you basically have an opinion. You can kind of control things a little bit. Parents would like to shape the development of their children. They can't make all the decisions. They can't control their children, but they can have an influence on them. And that's why we have that word influence, the future development of their country. Both of these express the same idea. I would just say that the first one is a little more poetic. It's a little bit more like a political speech. You're shaping the future of the nation. And a more accurate way, I might say, in influencing the future development of their country. Same idea, but not quite as romantic, I would say.
好，那我们来看第二个重点是表达影响国家未来发展的过程中，其实你可以用到 influence the future development of their country， 就是照直接字面翻译。那另外一个就像麦克老师说那种更有诗意的讲法，我是觉得这更好，就是形塑国家的未来，就是 shape the future of their nation。 那我们用 shape 当动词，它可以表达决定、塑造或者是影响什么的形成或发展。那因为这部分都是摆在我们刚刚说那个 play a role 后面加上 in 之后，所以呢前面的动词是要用动词 ing 改成 shaping 还有 influencing。 好，那我们接着来看 point C，
Thus promoting a sense of civic responsibility. Yeah, absolutely. If people take part in politics, if they believe that their voice, their opinion, their choice of leader matters, that will promote a sense of civic responsibility. Basically, if we're all taking part in something, we all have a sense of ownership. We feel like we're part of it, so there's more value to it rather than, other people making decisions for us, people that we can't question, people that we can't challenge. That sort of just feels like we're being told what to do. And if you're being told what to do, you won't have such a sense of civic responsibility. Civic meaning having to do with politics and society in a country, and promoting a sense, this is sort of fostering or growing something. We're not promoting things like we're advertising things. No, here we're just sort of talking about growing or fostering or developing a sense of civic responsibility, a sense that we're all in this together and all of our opinions matter equally.
好，那我们来看第三个重点是要表达从而提升公民责任感。那我们可以看到这部分是在主要子句后 后面用逗号再隔开来。其实这边我们可以用非限定用法的关系子句把它翻译成逗号 which thus promotes a sense of civic responsibility。 那其实你也可以省略掉关系代名词 which， 然后把主动动词 promotes 改成现在分词 promoting， 那就会简化成 thus promoting a sense of civic responsibility。 我们补充一下 a sense of 加名词就是什么什么感，那这边用到 a sense of civic responsibility 就是公民责任感，这个 civic 是形容公民的、市民的或者是市政的。好，那现在看完相关的重点，可以请 Mike 老师帮我们翻译整个句子了。
Through voting, citizens can play a crucial role in shaping the future of their nation, thus promoting a sense of civic responsibility.
好，那我们接着进入第二部分，是跟节庆有关。那第三个要翻译的句子是，在城市的节庆期间，经常能看到居民和游客都沉浸在各种文化活动中，享受着热闹的游行。那句子是在陈述事实，我们时态是用现在简单式。那要表达经常能看到什么什么，我们用到句型 It is common to 加上原形动词表达。这个 it 是虚主词，真正的主词是后面的不定词 to be， 所以我们这句的主词能看到居民什么什么游行呢，是用不定词片语来表示。好，那我们现在就来看到我们的重点 Point A。Point
A, to see residents and tourists alike. All right, when we're using this phrase, to see something and something alike, we're basically saying both of those are there to be seen. You will find both of those there. You will see both of those there, all right? It might be a little bit different, these different groups, things you might not expected. So you can see residents and tourists alike in a certain place, maybe like a local museum. You might expect to mostly see tourists, but no, this museum is very, very popular. Many local people will go there also on the weekend, so you can see residents and tourists alike. I don't know about museums in Taiwan. I know a lot of local folks stay away from them because they might be crowded, but certainly night markets, you can see residents and tourists alike eating and shopping on the weekends. It's not just something that is popular with tourists or just something that is popular with residents. You see both of them, and that is the alike word that kind of serves as saying both.
好，那我们第一个重点是要翻译看到居民和游客都怎么样怎么样，我们可以用到 see residents and tourists alike。 那么 resident 它是表达居民居住者，那么 alike 当副词它表示一样的或是相似的，我们用 A and B alike 就是表达 A 和 B 一样，所以要表达 A 和 B 都怎么样，你就可以说 A and B alike， 我也可以写作 both A and B 也可以。好，那我们接着来看 point B。Immerse
oneself in noun or verb ing. Okay, if you're immersing yourself in something, you're basically getting into something in a big way. You're really enjoying something. You're taking part in something fully. To immerse is really actually to like dip something in water. If you swim in a pool or take a bath, you're immersing yourself in water. If you're washing your hands or washing the dishes, you'll immerse your hands and the dishes in soapy water in order to get them clean. But we can also talk about immersing yourself in your hobby, immersing yourself in a culture. If you go to a certain country and you eat the local food and try to speak the same language as the locals, maybe even dress like a local, you're really immersing yourself in that culture. And as I mentioned with hobbies on the weekend, if you have some passion that you just love to do, I immerse myself in Japanese manga on the weekend. I can read 4 or 5 comic books in one day. I immerse myself in my favorite video game. I'll play for like 4 hours nonstop and I forget about what time it is. You're really, really into something. You're really, really enjoying it, almost where it sort of takes you over, almost like you're jumping into the liquid and it's going over your head in that same kind of way as we immerse ourselves in water or in the bath.
好，那我们来看到下一个重点是沉浸在什么什么中。那我们可以用到动词 immerse 表示使沉浸于或者是使深陷于什么什么。immerse oneself in 加上一个名词或动名词就可以表达使沉浸于某事物啊，全心全意投入在什么当中。顺便学一下 immerse 的形容词是 immersive， 它可以形容沉浸的、沉浸式的或是身临其境的。那我们现在常听到这个沉浸式体验，你就可以说 immersive experience 去表达。好，那另外补充一下，我们要表达看到居民和 和游客都沉浸在什么。这个看到我们会用 see 加受词，后面可以接原形动词或者是现在分词 VING。只是因为我们要强调动作正在进行，所以受词补语我们就会用到现在分词 immersing。好，那我们现在看完相关重点，要请 Mike 老师帮我们翻译整个句子哦。
During the city's festivals, it is common to see residents and tourists alike immersing themselves in various cultural activities and enjoying lively parades.
好，那我们来看第4个要翻译的句子是，除了庆祝当地传统外，人们还希望能培养社区意识和加强社会联系。好，句子的主词是人们，动词是希望。那因为是在陈述事实，所以时态用现在简单式。社区意识我们可以说 community awareness， 那么社会联系则可以翻译成 social connections。那我们现在就来看重点。
In addition to, and then we would have either a noun or a verb ing. Of course, the verb is acting as a noun with the ing in that case. So this is basically the beginning of a sentence with two parts. You'll have a comma in the middle. The first part, in addition to, and you'll say sort of the obvious one, the one you would expect to hear, and then after the comma, you'll hear the one that maybe is a little more surprising or a little more unexpected. In addition to eating a lot of ramen on my holiday in Tokyo, I also went book shopping in an antique store or something like that. So the first one is sort of, yeah, we would guess that. That's not too surprising. And then the second one is a little bit more unusual, a little bit more attention-grabbing. We could also, instead of saying in addition to, say besides. Besides visiting a night market on my first trip to Taiwan, I also went whale watching in Ilan or something like that. So, of course, the first one you'd expect, and then the second one is, oh, that's a little interesting. I didn't know about that.
好，那么第一个重点是要表达除了什么什么以外还怎么样。那我们可以用到 in addition to 或者是 besides， 它们是当介系词用，然后后面接一个名词或动名词。那后面所接的这个名词或动名词就是有包括在内的哦。好，那如果我们要用副词表达，你就可以用 in addition， 或者是还可以用 besides， 它们当副词就可以表达此外而且。好，那我们接着来看到下一个重点 point B。
To cultivate. If we're cultivating something, we're growing things. This is actually a word that comes to us from agriculture, right? You cultivate things by growing things on a farm or in your garden as well. But here we're not talking about actually growing plants or vegetables. We're talking about growing knowledge, growing an interest in something, growing a passion for something. We could also use the word foster. Now, foster is a word we might use more for children. Parents will foster their children to become kind and well-rounded adults or something like that. But both of them are talking about developing. And yes, develop is another word we could also use. You cultivate an interest, you foster a passion, you develop an enthusiasm for something. You're growing these things over time.
好，那下一个重点是表达培养，我们可以用到 cultivate 或者是 foster 这两个动词。cultivate 本身有耕种、种植或培育的意思，也可以表达培养、促进、逐渐形成像是技能或是态度。那么 foster 本身有抚育、照料的意思，它还可以表达出培养、促进或是助长的意思哦。好，那我们现在看完相关的重点，可以翻译整个句子了。So the sentence is,
In addition to celebrating local traditions, people also hope to cultivate community awareness and strengthen social connections. All right, that's all the time we have, but we're going to have more good stuff for you coming up very soon. So stick right around and we'll be back with more great material. See you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.